Yo, 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 what is going on, my beautiful brothers and sisters, fellow radiators of love? My name is Jamal Pope, aka J Phoenix, and this is going to be your astrology forecast for Thursday, August 10th of 2023. Definitely appreciate you guys joining me in this video. I'm just checking my mic and everything because I got suddenly paranoid. I was like, I wonder if my mic is actually on. They got you hear me. And I also know I'm a little late to making this video. I just needed more sleep, y'all. Like my body, I'm a projector in human design, and I learned that we actually require more rest than the, manifestors and generating manifestors, or generators and manifesting generators, and then reflectors. I'm guessing reflectors are probably pretty similar, but yeah, I'm a projector in human design, and I realized that I actually require more sleep and rest. So, yeah, that's why this is coming out a little bit late. But in any event, here we are on Thursday. This is the exact moment right now, 9:33:09 at the time of me making this. And we can see that we have the sun and we have, Venus here. And we have this Cazimi, this conjunction between Venus and the sun, which is coming closer and closer together. And we're going to start to really feel this. The sun is going to start to. I was reading up on this too because I've been hearing Cazimi kind of thrown around. And a Cazimi is essentially when a planet comes within 17 minutes of the sun. So it's essentially a conjunction. But what the sun does, especially being that this is in Leo, think of it as it kind of purifies that energy. It kind of burns away any of the confusion or fog or energy sort of surrounding Venus or whatever planet it is, and it brings about a more pure and distilled version of it, if you will. So we're going to start to feel this. We've been feeling this throughout the week, but we're definitely going to start to feel this now that these energies are coming closer and closer and closer together. Of course, we are still dealing with the fact that Venus is still in square to Uranus at 22 degrees. We're definitely still feeling that energy, trying to figure out where we belong, whether or not what we put out will be accepted. Definitely trying to look for our tribe. Especially now that people are going more and more into their hearts, and you're seeing it everywhere. Like people that have been doing like the same thing for 20 or 30 years are finally going for what's in their heart. They're finally coming out of this funk. They're finally coming out of this matrix idea that you have to do this. You have to go and get a job for 20 to 30 years and get all of your benefits and do things regimented in this way so you can take care of yourself and take care of your family. I think there's a way people are starting to like wake up and realize that we can actually do the things that we love and really enjoy life and appreciate ourselves, but we don't have to be doing it in this matrix way where we are just tick-tocking along and just not really making a dent in this matrix. But beloved, you came here to be a splinter in the matrix. You came here to do something amazing and to do something powerful. You didn't come here to just simply tick-tock along, right? So you can see this with this Venus square Uranus. Alliances are shifting, alliances are breaking and reforming. People are switching tribes, people are switching teams. You know what I'm saying? You're going to see this continue. And I mean, this is just the second pass, right? The first pass, Venus was going forward, so Venus was direct, and Uranus was direct, right? The second time that these two are going to square, Venus is retrograde and Uranus direct, right? And now the third time when it happens, you'll see is that Venus will be direct and Uranus will be retrograde. So there are layers to this shit. Like it's not this whole switching of alliances, this whole change up right now. It's not going to be as clear cut as we think it is. Uranus is definitely going to be throwing some curveballs and some wrenches into the mix, which is why it's really important too during all this stuff to kind of go back to the sun, to kind of go back to being that stable, creative, power, that the life supply energy. It's good to go back to that, because that's the thing about the sun. This, like, all the planets revolve around the sun, and the sun, it is moving too. It moves itself throughout the universe and the galaxy, and it's actually part of a binary star system, but it's the sun that is taking care of all of the planets. We got to think about that too. So it has to remain stable. The sun can't take any days off. The sun doesn't take any days off. You know what I mean? So it's like, in many ways, we have to treat our creativity, our passion, our hearts the same way. It's like we can't take any days off. And of course, like with the sun being here in this decan ruled by Jupiter as well. So there's definitely going to bring a bit more of a jovial energy. And when these energies do eventually meet up, Venus and the sun, it will be in the decan ruled by Mars. Mars is moving fast forward. Let's talk about Mars for a little bit, right? So here's the interesting thing about it. Mercury, it was behind all these energies, right? It caught up to Venus, right? So let's just go back to, like, okay, so bam. All right, so yeah. So it's funny too, because Mercury actually met up. All right, so let's just go back a little bit, right? To about a month ago, right? So you had Mercury and the sun, which met up in Cancer, right? And also, we also had Juno here too. We had those energies meet up in Cancer, and then of course you had Venus and Mars, which were within 4 degrees of each other, right? Venus was desperately trying to catch up to Mars. She was like, "Honey, you don't have to go. Like, you can stay here. We can have fun and stuff like that. We can, come with me on this nice little vacation. We can go to the beach and we can have fun in the sun." But Mars was getting ready to go. Mars was getting ready to go and head out, right? Mars had things to do, things to see, things to fix, if you will. So we had Mercury here, which came over to the sun, right? And then the sun was able to kind of like burn away some of the impurities thought wise that we might have had. Any type of, if, with Mercury being Cancer, our thoughts were definitely very much so tied to our emotions. The sun coming over the spot gave us this opportunity to sort of kind of burn away, if you will, thoughts that have been staying stagnant and emotions that were remaining stagnant. So we can actually be a little bit more refreshed and clear, right? So this energy happened, right? So, all right, so Mercury got that message from the sun, right? And it was like, okay, wow. So, and this happened, of course, in the decan ruled by the moon. The moon was over here in Scorpio, right? And there's this element here where, of course, the moon doesn't really like to be in Scorpio. And we got to also consider that this was probably the last time that the moon was in the Scorpio with the south node there. So this was definitely a very deep time, right? This is a time where we were coming through a lot of deeper emotions. We were really trying to, this was a time where we had to, what's the word I'm looking for? We had to dig deep to find like the confidence and the courage to really move forward. We really did. We had all this energy in Leo, which was giving some nice power to this. The sun wasn't there yet. It would take the sun a little bit longer to get there. We were building up, of course, to the sun opposed Pluto. That was what we were building up to. So this was a time where we had to process some deep emotions, some deep psychological things. But when Mercury came over the sun, it definitely gave Mercury some juice and a message to deliver to Venus and Mars, right? So now you can see that, Mercury came off the sun, of course, and then you continue to move it forward. It goes into Leo. It moves over Black Moon Lilith. And you can see that Mars and Venus were starting to separate. And Venus wasn't even retrograde at this point. So she was still just clamoring for a little bit of hope. Like, Mars, come back. Let's have this dance in Leo. Let's have this dance in Leo. Mars is like, nah, I'm in Virgo land now. I gotta get this thing done. I gotta figure this thing out. I gotta like compartmentalize all these different things. I gotta etch out all these details. This is really, really important, And Mars is not normally used to that. Mars would much rather be in Leo and have fun with Venus here. but they started to separate. They started to separate, right? You have Mercury, of course, you have the moon that came over Venus at 28 degrees, right? Right before this moment of the sun opposing Pluto, which is pretty freaking massive. They're starting to separate even more, and Venus is starting to give up as far as that whole thing goes. And the nodes shifted at this point, and the sun was squaring the nodes at this point, right? Mercury, you can see now, blah blah blah, passed up Mercury again. So Mercury is now in Leo, wanting to deliver these messages. Fast forward, you have Mercury on Venus. Now that there is a 12-degree separation between Venus and Mars, the dream is done. Venus is going backwards. She has to figure some things out. And maybe the reason why Mars left her behind is because she wasn't focused on her own self. Mars was probably like, well, you got to, Venus was like, well, I guess my hair is kind of messed up. I'm not really feeling my best. I'm not really feeling my shiniest. I'm not feeling my most beautiful. I'm in this sign of Leo, which is like making me want to do things like really just be like fabulous about things, but I'm not really feeling fabulous. And Mars like, I was trying to tell you that, but I had to go, you know what I mean? Like, no offense, Venus. No offense, Venus. But I could tell that you weren't really feeling 100%. And if you're not feeling 100%, I gotta go to Virgo land, right? I gotta get into the forest. I'm talking with the fairies, and I gotta fix some things out, You know what I'm saying? I gotta make sure that all the plants are communicating with each other and growing. I call Virgos the fairies of the zodiac. So I gotta maintain the order in that area, right? So Mercury then delivers the message to Venus, right? Pretty much saying about what the sun's going to be bringing to Venus and when they come into their conjunction, right? By this time, the sun's actually at 4 degrees. And of course, we had the moon, which was squaring this energy on July 27th, right? In Scorpio, the good thing about this time now is that the South Node is not in Scorpio anymore. So there's a bit of a relief that came with this moon in Scorpio. That even though it doesn't necessarily like to be there, at least it's in the decan that it rules, which is nice. At least it was in the decan that it ruled. So things are deep, but maybe they aren't that deep. And if they are that deep, you are actually far more equipped than you realize to deal with those deeper emotions, that psychology of being in those spaces and those deep waters. You're far more equipped to handle those. And it is going through those depths that you find the sunken treasure too. We had to build up the confidence and the courage to go deep within to actually find that sunken treasure. And that sunken treasure was probably something like maybe it was like a new device that would give you gills so you can swim in the ocean, you know? But we had this, by the time that Mercury got to Venus, Venus was already going backwards. And now she's, especially being at 28 degrees, when she was stuck at this degree for the better part of 2 weeks, Mercury is like, Venus is like, hey, can you tell Mars what I'm going through? Like, because this is kind of stressful, y'all. Like I'm going through all this right now. I got to figure this thing out. I'm trying to open up my heart to all this, and things aren't going exactly the way I thought they're going to go. And I want to be beautiful for Mars and stuff like that. I'm just not really feeling. I'm not really feeling 100%. But I'm gonna do what I can, I guess, to figure this shit out. Mercury, can you go tell Mars? And Mercury's like, I got you. Mercury's like, I got you. Yeah, well, here's the thing. Mercury is now within 4 degrees of Mars. And Mercury is trying to deliver those goods to Mars. And what's funny about this is that Mars is about to reach the degree that's ruled by Venus, which would be the decan that they probably would have met in if it wasn't for the fact that Mercury is not going to reach Mars. Mercury is going to get close to Mars. It's going to be like Mars is going to be down like on like a field, and Mercury is going to be up on a cliff, and Mercury's going to be like, "Hey, yo, Mars, Mars, this is what Venus told me to tell you." But then like Mars is going to be like, "Wait, what? What? I can't hear you. This is what Venus wanted me to tell you." And Mars is like, I can't hear you. I gotta keep going. I gotta keep moving forward. I gotta go. Like, that's the thing about this. Like, here, let me show you guys another screen real fast. Um, so like, so you see this now. I would seriously actually ignore this because Uranus isn't really moving that fast. It says it's moving fast, but it's not even moving like it's not even moving really that fast. And Uranus will come retrograde come the end of the month. So I wouldn't even worry about this. But you can see Mercury is starting to slow down as well. You see that? Mars is really the only thing that's chugging forward, moving fast. It's really the only thing that's moving fast right now. It's interesting though that Mercury's at +11. We got the Sun at +8, +2, +1, +1, +1. The only thing that's really minus is -5, which is the moon, which is in the sign of Gemini. So, that could be a tough energy. We don't really want to freak out right now trying to figure everything out with the moon, of course, which is going to be squaring this Virgo energy today, squaring Mercury, squaring Mars. We definitely don't want to freak ourselves out because we're trying to figure out all the details of what's going on in our life. But we don't really have all of that. We haven't even gotten to the Sun-Venus conjunction yet, where the Sun is going to burn away the impurities that's in Venus's heart so that it can be pure and distilled and clear, so we can really see, okay, this is what I really want to bring forward. This is the joy. This is the creativity. This is what I want to be this co-creator with the universe and be like Leo, be that star, if you will, and hold that place in my life and always be that place, because no one's going to be that star for you. Like I said, that's what the sun teaches. All the planets revolve around the sun, right? All the planets rely on the sun's energy, right? And even though the sun is part of a binary star system, the sun's partner is absent, right? They're not there. They're absent, right? It's the sun's taking care of all the kids, if you will. And the other parent is just gone, right? But in many ways, you kind of have to be that way. You have to be the sun, because no one is going to take care of you and express creativity and joy in the way that you need more than you. So that's what this comes down to. And Venus is really going to be teaching us that too. Yeah, I remember Venus is it's in many ways it's representative of a divine feminine energy, right? And it's in a masculine sign. That's why things feel so weird right now. That's why things feel very weird right now. Because if you look at the feminine energy, we don't have a whole lot of it. I mean, technically Virgo is, but you have masculine planets there, right? We have Saturn in Pisces and Neptune in Pisces, but they're retrograde, right? And then of course, we have the Taurus energy too, but those are masculine planets in a feminine sign. So that's why things feel a little off right now. It's like planets are having to kind of play the opposite role in a sense, but we all have divine masculine, we all have divine feminine energy within us. So that's the thing about it. Let's go back to that other chart though. So yeah, you're going to see as the day. Oh wait, hold on. I was still on week. Let me go back to hours. All right. So yeah, you're going to see that moon is going to square Mercury around 1:46 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right? Here at 15 degrees. 1 + 5 is 6. 6 in numerology is the number of Venus. So And the moon, of course, is in the decade ruled by Venus too. So, and Venus is getting closer to this conjunction with the sun, this Kazemi. So, this is, yeah, we don't want to really freak out right now if we're not feeling as beautiful, if we're not feeling as shiny, if we feel like we have to, if we're really trying to figure out, like, oh, we're trying to figure out all of these different things right now, and we try to just think our way through these situations, we're gonna burn ourselves out if we just try and think our way through this. You know, this also could be a potential. There's a potential to where we may suppress conversations that we actually need to have. This is not something that you need to do on your own. You can't do this on your own. So there are certain conversations that you're going to have that may be uncomfortable, but they are absolutely necessary, right? And then you can see this moon is going to make, yeah, bam. And the moon right here is then going to make the square to Mars at 19 degrees, which reduces to 1, which is all about the sun. So once again, there's another thing here where it's like there's a square and we're still trying to figure things out. We're still trying to live more from our heart space, right? You know, of course, you do have Venus kind of coming off the exact square to Uranus, but it's still there. And this is actually happening at the same time. Now that Mars is at 19 degrees, that is quincunxing over to Chiron. While the moon sextiles Chiron at 19 degrees, and it's on top of Vesta. This is a moment here coming towards the end of Thursday where we really have to find our inner flame. The inner flame that is subtle but is ever burning. When things seem tough, when we're trying to figure things out, when we're trying to intellectualize things, and it can throw our emotions off because we don't know all the details, right? And if things feel awkward because maybe shit comes up, maybe a wounding comes up, maybe we are triggered by something, you know, especially being that this is Gemini energy. So there could be a conversation that we have that could trigger, you know, an emotion or invoke a feeling of some aspect of ourselves that we may look at with disdain or disgust, or we may look at something that's like, oh, that happened to me. I had this wound. It's like, but you don't let it stay open and fester either. That's the thing about this. But we have to be willing to dig deep and find that inner flame. That's what Vesta is. It's the inner flame. That is that deep inner flame that it's subtle, right? So we have to have the courage that even if we don't have all the details, even if we desperately want Mercury to catch up to Mars, especially after promising Venus, like, hey, I'm going to talk to Mars for you, okay? And Mercury's having to shout from on top of a cliff, and Mars can't hear Mercury. That's in many ways what it kind of feels like we're doing. That's kind of what it feels like we're doing with the universe. It kind of feels like, and we can come from both ways. It's like we're shouting. It's like the universe is like shouting to us. It was like, hey, hey, you can do this. You can do this. Trust me. Trust the divine flow of the universe. And we're like, wait, what? I can't hear you. You know, and the universe is just shouting like, hey, you can do this. You have it within you. Just dig deep. It's there. And it's like, what? Vesta in Gemini is this being the Gemini is of course a sign of the, you know, the communicator, the messenger. Um this is finding that inner flame when it comes to that energy. You know what I'm saying? It is in many ways you will find yourself finding the inner flame. This could come down to like your local community, maybe connecting with people in your local community and like kind of fostering that flame, maybe coming together with people with this aspect here. Especially being that it's in the deck and ruled by Venus too, was when all this goes down. When Mars is in the deck and ruled by Saturn, you know, and Chiron is at the degree that the sun is exalted at. So this is really a great moment by the universe informing us before we do get the sun on top of Venus that even when things seem weird, even when things seem dire, we don't need to have knee jerk reactions right now. We don't need to try and figure everything out right now. We don't need to try to force our will and what we think things should look like on our on these situations right now, because I'm not gonna lie, forcing our will in these situations is not going to yield the results that we think they're going to yield. We can't just force it in there. We need a little bit of lube. We need a little bit of lube. You can't just force it in there. Okay? You can't put a freaking circle piece into a square peg or square hole. You can't do that. You can, but it's going to cause a lot of stress. It's going to cause those pieces to break. It's going to cause that hole to fray if you try and just force it in there, which will cause pain, inflammation. You can't do that. So the universe is really calling us to this moment to dig deep, find our bravery, find our courage, have the conversations that we need to have, know that we don't need to have all the answers right now. Things do seem weird right now, but we all have it within us. We all have it within us to live from our heart space, and it's happening already. The thing that came to my mind last night is that we are almost as we're like in the process of establishing, how we have like every country has like their own constitutions and stuff like that. We are establishing a new universal or galactic, if you will, constitution. Like we're in the stages of drafting a new galactic constitution. And Pluto was last in these areas. That was the birth of America. And the drafting all these energies, the drafting of all of the Constitution and stuff. The birth of America, which came through. It wasn't easy either. And the people that were doing it were seemingly regular people, but they had higher ideals and how they wanted to live and govern themselves. Govern themselves, not be governed by someone else, right? And that's the thing about this too. We are drafting a new constitution, a galactic one, a universal one. So, of course, it's going to feel a little uncomfortable. Let's get into the cards, shall we? All right. Let's see what we got going on with these cards for today. For Thursday, August 10th. I have the Page of Pentacles. Yep, I got the Page of Pentacles. I like it because he's kind of holding like a sun in his hand, right? He's holding like the Kamehameha wave in his hand, but it's steady. It's just sitting there. It's not. This definitely speaks to that deeper Vesta energy, which is more subtle, but it doesn't have to be forced on anyone right now. It doesn't. You don't have to shoot it out at anyone. If you feel like you have like an enemy, it's like you can just hold it in your hand. It's like a Rasengan too, right? But it's the Rasengan that you just simply hold in your hand. It's the more subtle one. It's not meant for fighting and thwarting your enemies. It's just simply holding it in your hand. And that's kind of where that's him recognizing his value. That's him recognizing what was always inside, but he's finally having the courage to bring it out. And we have an owl right here, which speaks to the wisdom as well of knowing when to turn this into, I guess you could say, a weapon, if you will, right? We have this followed also by the King of Cups. So yeah, there comes an emotional intelligence to this as well. Having the emotional intelligence to know when and when not to blast your enemies with this ball of light, if you will. And here's the other thing too about it. Blasting your enemies with this ball of light, we have to know when and when not to do it, when we need to just hold it. And also, blasting your enemies with light could be as simple as telling them, it's like, I appreciate you. It'll completely throw them off. But it's like, it's about having the emotional intelligence on when and when not to do this. This could be almost sort of like you blessing other people by simply you being you, right? We also have the Tower card in reverse, but like I said, it is in reverse, so it's like it's already happened. So, will you recognize your value even after things have crumbled and fallen away? Are you going to continue to rummage through the debris trying to find certain things like, oh crap, that trophy that I won back in fifth grade? I need that, Do you though? Do you need that? The trophy is just a representation of what was already inside of you and what you already did. That part never goes away. The trophy will eventually decay and go back into the earth long after you die and stuff. You can't take that trophy with you. So that's the thing about this. Do you really need those things? Or what's really important to what's is present in your heart, what was always there, that capability, that inner flame. That's what's truly important. So there's no need to just go rummaging through the debris and trying to find certain things. Oftentimes we do attach memories to objects. Create new memories. You can always create new memories, right? Don't hoard. A lot of people are hoarding energy right now, but especially in their heart. That's what the sun's going to be burning away. The sun is going to be burning away all of the energies that we've been holding in our heart from a Venusian-like quality. So we can get to a pure state, so we can actually see the room that we're standing in and see all of the blessings that we actually have, but we've been hoarding all of this energies that we can't even really see where we are. Some of y'all think you're in the living room, but you're actually in the kitchen, but you can't fucking tell because you can't see the oven. We have the card of change. The frequency of change supports our ability to gracefully dance with the forever changing nature of reality, both inward and outward, so we can appreciate the sweet release of the old and birth of the new. That's exactly what's going on here. And we're feeling this process happening right now with this Kazemi that's happening with the sun and Venus. We can definitely feel that change is here. We can definitely feel it. And it can be uncomfortable, but this is also going to be a blessing. We just have to be willing to go with the flow of the universe and dance with the music. Dance with the music. Don't go against the current. There are times where we need to kind of go against the grain and have resilience. Today is a day where we want to just, have the conversations that we need to have. But today is a day where we want to dance with the flow of the universe and just kind of just allow things to come and allow ourselves to simply be. That is going to do it for your astrology forecast today. I hope that you all enjoyed it. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe. I definitely appreciate it. If you would like a personal reading with me, beloved, you can follow the link in the description below to my website, Astro Phoenix. That's my old one, jphoenix.com. Astro Phoenix is still going to have like a place. It's going to kind of morph into like a more like a parent aspect to the J Phoenix. So, anyways, if you'd like a reading with me, you can find me on my website, jphoenix.com. And as always, beloved, y'all take care, stay blessed, have a wonderful day, and I will see you guys on the next video. Peace.